Will the eye-controlled autofocus system found in the Canon EOS R3 percolate down to other cameras such as the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, and what about their flagship camera, the R1? And has Canon's stance on third-party lens manufacturers changed in the last couple of months? Details coming up, but first, please do me a favor and follow me on Twitter. Subscribe, share, choose all notifications, like, comment, and all that good stuff. It's greatly appreciated, means an awful lot to me, and really does help this channel grow. I've got to start going to CP+, a camera and photo imaging trade show held in Japan every February. And this past February, Canon recently teased about approving third-party lenses in an interview with Photo Trends, a French publication. And in a recent interview with DP Review, Canon teased about the R3's eye-controlled autofocus coming to other cameras. Canon said that in terms of the eye-controlled autofocus system, or eye-controlled focus, we intend to deploy this to various other models. At the same time, we'd like to improve performance and usability. So the R3's eye-controlled autofocus system, well, that's impressive to see that coming to other cameras. If you're not familiar with this technology, when you're looking through the viewfinder, when you're looking directly at the subject, the camera realizes, okay, that's where you want the focus system to be locked onto using, well, face detection, head detection, or eye detection. Depending on what your subject is, it'll lock onto it and track that subject, and that's pretty impressive. But will we see that coming to cameras like the R50 or the R5 Mark II or even the R8? Well, this is what Canon had to say about that. Well, Canon very quickly level set our expectations, stating that the eye-controlled system is something that takes a long time to develop. It's also a costly device to develop and manufacture, so we don't wish for our customers to have an overexcited expectation for immediate deployment to other models. Okay, so it's definitely not coming to any successor to the R50 or any other camera that could be coming out below or above that, including the R8, and maybe not even coming up to a successor to the R6 Mark II. But the R5 Mark II, well, there's a definite possibility. The R5 Mark II is a 5 series camera, and it costs just shy of $4,000, and the R5 Mark II is due to be coming out sometime over the next 12 months, most likely being announced in the fourth quarter of 2023, and being, well, shipping out sometime in early 2024. But then there's Canon's flagship camera. No, not the 1DX Mark III, and of course the R3, as Canon said at CP+ with Photo Trends, is their de facto flagship camera right now. But I'm talking about the Canon EOS R1. That camera will have eye-controlled autofocus system. Now, Canon hasn't said this, but if it's in the R3 and they're saying it's coming out to other R system cameras, they're obviously going to put it in higher-end cameras, so we can expect to see it in the Canon EOS R1. Right now, it's only in the Canon EOS R3, so putting it in the R1 makes sense, but also putting it in the Canon EOS R5 II also makes a little bit of sense, and this is one of those technologies that would help separate the Canon EOS R5 Mark II from the R5, the Mark I that came out in, what was it, July of 2020? That's right, July 30th of 2020. A camera that I've owned since, and I actually had the camera about a week before it was released to the market, and I love the camera. And with a new big firmware update coming out that's planning to introduce, well, a whole slew of features, a big firmware update including a 400 megapixel pixel shift mode that Canon's going to call IBIS High Resolution, along with removing that 30-minute record limit. This eye-controlled autofocus would, well, help separate the R5 Mark II from the R5, giving those, well, customers like you and me a reason to spend a little bit more money and upgrade. And if you want to know more about Canon's big firmware update for the Canon EOS R5, well, you can watch this video here that I published this weekend. Boy, is that looking like a bit of a doozy. 400 megapixel pixel shift. Now, for some people who didn't even bother watching the video that automatically came out and said this is clickbait, well, watch the entire video, because about halfway through, I can't remember where exactly I have it, I show an image and it comes directly from Canon's website, Canon Europe. Recently, I think it was just on Saturday or it might have been Friday, Canon Europe actually had the image up on their website for a little while. So this is not a rumor, this is something that was on Canon's website. So it's something that Canon definitely teased, and I think they let the cat out of the bag just a little bit too early. But Canon also reiterated their stance on third-party lens approval, not deviating too far from what their development team said in a recent interview with Photo Trends. Whenever a third party presents a request to us, we consider it based on our business strategy. In fact, we have been communicating with some outside companies. And you may already be aware that here at CP+, Cosina has announced that they will be creating RF lenses on their own. And that's true. Cosina is making RF lenses. Now, it doesn't have autofocus, but the significant thing here is that this is the first lens, or the lens manufacturer, to be approved to make third-party lenses from Canon since they decided to enforce their intellectual property. And what's significant here is, well, it's able to communicate between the lens and the body itself. So we're able to get that data, and that's really, really important. So no longer, because I've got a ton of these third-party lenses, and when I put them onto the R5, I usually get a flashing F00 because it's not communicating that information. And while it doesn't really bother me too much with some of these lenses that cost between $100 and $300, it is a little bit annoying. So to be able to communicate that information is significant. But we need to see more approvals from Canon, from Sigma and Tamron, where we do have autofocus lenses, and I really do hope we get to see some of them soon. Some lenses like the 150 to 600 millimeters, or some other super telephoto lenses, or other focal lengths that Canon just has no interest in developing, that they certainly didn't develop for the EF mount. I really do hope that we do get some approval soon, and as we're now at the end of March and CP Plus was, well, coming up to about 2 months ago, I hope we get to see some more announcements regarding third-party lens makers. And if we don't, well, then it really shows that Canon is considering other requests, but they're being stuck in their ways and not willing to change. So let's keep the pressure up on Canon, pushing them to approve more third-party lenses, such as those coming from Sigma and Tamron. And Canon doesn't have to do an outright approval. What they could do is say, okay, look, you know what? The 15mm, the 85mm, you can't touch those, or you can't come close to 1.2. You can go as far as 1.8. But as far as 150 to 600 millimeters, knock yourselves out. As far as the 24 to 70, and cap yourself at 1.8. They could do all sorts of things. They don't have to do an outright ban. And the fact that Cosina is making lenses approved by Canon, well, it shows that there is a bit of a crack in their, well, exterior. I just want that crack to open up a little bit more, let the water get in there, freeze, and break down those barriers so we can start to see more lenses. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors, then go ahead and subscribe, but make sure you choose all notifications. And by choosing all notifications, as soon as I publish a new video like this one here, well, you'll get notified by YouTube in an email. You'll also get notified in the, right at the top of the YouTube page, there's a little alert bell icon. You'll get notified there as well. But make sure you check your spam and junk folder, because a lot of times these emails show up in there. And for all the minor news and rumors out there, make sure you follow me on Twitter using this link right here, because quite often there's a lot of videos, or not a lot of videos, there's a lot of news that comes out on a daily basis that aren't big enough to have their own separate video. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I hope to see you again soon. Oh, and by the way, we're doing a live stream. I can't remember if it's tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's Wednesday morning. Sony has announced that they're going to be, well, they have an event, a live event, and it's going to be streaming at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Toronto time, New York time. And it's going to be a vlogging event. So we're expecting Sony to release the Sony ZV-E1, a camera that's supposed to have all the same specifications as the Sony a7S III, but with a price of around $2,500. Does this make sense? Does it make sense to you? Well, we're going to be doing our live coverage 1 hour before that event at 9 a.m., and then we'll cover the event live and talk about it. So it's really fun to talk about the rumored expectations, what we're expecting to see, and then go right into the event and see how far the rumors are away from the actual event. So join me then Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will have guests such as James Jackson and a few others. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.